Welcome to another episode of Dinner Starts Here. We are right in the Holland Marsh, kind of right smack dab between Toronto and Barrie, at Eek Farms.
Yes.
Bill Avia, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming and joining us today, Andrew. It's a beautiful day. You brought the sun.
I did bring the sun. I'm just a ball of sunshine most of the time, is what people tell me. What do you farm here? What do you grow?
We grow carrots, onions, and...
I figured carrots, so I have to stop you because I haven't done an interview with someone who has had carrot earrings before. So carrots, onions, lettuce.
Lettuce is grown. No, that's not on our farm.
Yeah.
But if you want a generalization.
Yeah.
Those crops, root celery, beets, parsnips, variety. I can't even... Well, there's all kinds of Asian vegetables, or what could be classified as world crops today.
Yep.
So, over 40 crops that are grown out here in the Holland Marsh.
Now, how long have you been farming?
Long time.
Long time.
Your third generation.
Third generation.
Third generation.
Cool. Well, I kind of want to see how carrots are grown. Can we go see a carrot field?
Let's go.
So we're into one of your carrot fields, Bill. Now, give me an idea. I mean, these are big, bushy things. Like, how many carrots would you find in a field like this?
Quite a few. This is about 14 acres, so on a regular year, we get about 60 boxes to the acre, so you can do the math. So, and then on a bumper year, which will not be this year because of the weather that we've had, because the carrots aren't really sizing up to where they should be.
Sizing up, they're not getting big enough?
Well, they're not. They've been struggling with weather. They had lots of water in the spring, and we were underwater, and it just takes them a little time. They go into survival mode, and then they got to go back into, well, should we make a big carrot, or should we produce a seed like that wild carrot down there?
Can we maybe pull a few carrots and kind of see what they look like at this time of year? Now, this is probably 8 weeks before you're going to harvest?
Well, this field here, we would have this would have been my first field in. It was my first field in, so it should be sort of close to being ready now, but I suspect it will be towards the end of September before I can do it marketably, because they're just not sizing up. But what's left is okay. Like if they were all like this one here, we could put the combine in. There would be no problem.
So now what makes a good carrot then in your mind? As a carrot farmer, what are you aiming to get?
Straight, beautiful carrots, 7 to 10 inches long, and anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 2 inches in shoulder diameter.
So then how do you do that in a year? What's a year look like to get that?
Well, you have different varieties, of course, but some fields we grow strictly as jumbos. This is a package field. There will be some jumbos in this field too, which you always need for chain stores, restaurants, that kind of stuff. Even if I don't sell any in September or first couple weeks in October, I can put these carrots will go right into the end of October, and I can put them into cold storage and then take them out as I need them for my supplier or the people that I supply in the wintertime.
So then last question, when you do come into harvest, this looks like a lot of picking if you were doing it by hand. You don't do it by hand?
No, we'll do the headlands off by hand and stuff like that, and sometimes we'll do the roadways. We'll bunch them out like a bunch somewhat like that and sell them off. Like it's pretty hard to do that now, but sometimes if the orders are there, you can do it that way. That's the way we used to do it, but usually we take them out with a combine and just keep on trucking type thing. So right now it would be order to order type thing. You would combine a trailer load a day or whatever your orders were, if you plan to go. And once end of October, November comes around, it's 7 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night until you get finished, till you beat the snowfall, because you got to work with the cold weather.
So Bill, true farmer at heart. He's out checking the carrots still, seeing if he can find just what he can find. But Avia, I wanted to chat about, because this is something that I always am amazed at when especially you drive up the 400. We're here in the marsh that's that kind of halfway between Toronto and Barrie, and you drive down that hill, and I mean, the fields are all right there, and you see all kinds of equipment with these carrots and onions. Give me an idea of how big is the Holland Marsh? What grows here for all those tens of thousands of people that drive up and down every day?
I love your enthusiasm about coming to the marsh. I have to tell you that right off the bat. Okay, so the Holland Marsh, that's a topic that I never get tired of speaking about. So the Holland Marsh proper is 7,000 acres. It's provincially designated as a specialty crop area, intensive vegetable growing area. It is a provincially significant wetland. If we tried to do here today what was done 92 years ago, it would not be permitted. This was a swamp.
So what was done 92 years ago?
So the marsh was, in 1934, the first settlers came, and actually I'm very proud of this particular fact, is my husband's great uncle, William Valentine, was one of the first settlers in the settlement of Ansnerveld, which means translated on Snor's Field, in 1934. So when those settlers came, and it was a swamp, they cleared the land. Like where we are now, this is more in the middle of the marsh. When you get out towards the sides where the canal is, or where the two canals are, on the Bradford side and on the King Township side, that was with the tree line. When you look around and you see all the hills that surround the marsh, which is why it was called the Salad Bowl, because we are in a valley. It is a microclimate. It is one of two areas in Ontario that is specialty crop, and I think it's one of two or three microclimates in Ontario. And so as the water receded and the swamp, the grasses grew in the middle, the sedges, in 1881 to 1915, the first crops harvested out of the marsh were not even food, but they were the sedge grasses. The grasses were harvested by strapping big pieces of board to a horse's hooves or to their feet so they wouldn't sink in the bog, and harvesting the grass, which was sent to Toronto to make mattresses. Originally, the vegetables that grew out here were lettuce and celery and carrots and onions. And in fact, I believe it was 1927, the first crop of head lettuce was grown here in the marsh. And that from that point on, and that was from July till October that the lettuce was available. And that was the first time that Canadian lettuce had been available on the market locally. Yeah. Because prior to that, the lettuce came from Arizona.
Now, 7,000 acres, I mean, it sounds like a big number, but in the grand scheme of, the number of acres in Ontario, it's not a huge number, but it's an incredibly productive number. There's how much crop, basically, is here to feed the province?
Oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm using numbers that are probably 4 to 5 years old, but we grow enough carrots here in the Holland Marsh, in the 7,000, within that 7,000 acres, to provide every single Canadian with 4 pounds of carrots.
Really?
So when you put it in those terms, it's like, wow. And
you grow enough. It's not just that you can grow enough. You actually grow that many carrots, plus the onions, plus the 38 other crops.
That's right. And not us personally, but collectively.
But collectively in the marsh are growing that many carrots, and that's just the carrots.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks to you and Bill for the tour today.
Well, thank you for joining us, Andrew.